Welcome everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and unbelievable treasures that might just be hiding in your pocket change. Today we're going to talk about one of the most extraordinary and legendary finds in American numismatics, the 1945 wheat penny. A coin that at first glance looks just like the countless Lincoln wheat cents minted during that era, but which in certain rare conditions and era varieties can be worth an astounding $8 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1-cent coin from 1945, normally thought of as ordinary and common, has in rare cases been appraised and auctioned for sums reaching into the millions, and in this case the incredible figure of $8 million has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters alike. So welcome to the channel where we uncover the hidden mysteries of coins, explore their histories, their minting quirks, the strange errors that make them so incredibly valuable, and the fascinating possibilities that keep collectors searching through rolls and jars of pennies in hopes of striking it rich. Now let's begin this incredible journey into the story of the 1945 wheat penny, a humble copper coin that transformed into a priceless artifact of American history because of the mistakes, minting blunders, and rare anomalies that occurred during its production. Errors that would turn a simple cent into something collectors dream about, something worth more than most houses, cars, or even fortunes, and all of this begins with understanding the context of the 1945 penny itself, because it was minted at the end of World War II, a time when America was just coming out of wartime shortages, industries were transitioning from producing weapons and machinery to consumer goods, and the United States Mint was under immense pressure to produce coins to meet the growing needs of an economy in recovery. Millions of these wheat cents were struck in 1945 at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, but as with many coins struck in such large quantities, mistakes and inconsistencies crept in, and it is in these mistakes that the value of the coin lies, because without them the penny would simply be worth its face value, maybe a few cents to collectors, but certainly not millions. And so when we talk about an $8,001,945 wheat penny, what we're really talking about are a unique set of errors and anomalies that have elevated it into legendary status. For example, one of the most sought-after errors is the double die strike, where the coin was struck twice slightly out of alignment, leading to doubled features in the lettering or the date. On some rare 1945 pennies the doubling is dramatic, making the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date itself appear with ghost-like shadows, and when these doubling errors are crisp, bold, and combined with excellent condition, collectors will pay astronomical sums. But beyond the double die, there are even rarer mistakes like off-center strikes, where the coin's design is misaligned and part of it appears missing, or clipped planchets where the coin blank itself was improperly cut, leaving crescent-shaped gaps. And then there are the transitional errors, coins struck on the wrong metal, and this is where things get truly mind-blowing. Because in 1943 pennies were made from zinc-coated steel due to wartime copper shortages, then in 1944 production returned to copper, using recycled shell casings from the war. But occasionally mistakes occurred, and a few 1945 pennies have been discovered struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. These rare transitional era coins are unbelievably valuable, because they represent a 1 in a billion mistake, and collectors will bid aggressively to own such a historical anomaly. When you combine these errors with top condition, like coins graded mint state by professional grading services, the price skyrockets. And this is why one particular 1945 wheat penny, perfectly preserved with a dramatic error, sold for as much as $8 million, shocking the coin collecting world. But the story doesn't end with one type of error, because there are also repunched mint marks where the D or S mint marks were stamped twice, leading to overlapping impressions. Or coins with die cracks where imperfections in the minting equipment left raised lines across the coin's surface. Each of these varieties, depending on clarity and rarity, can add significant value, and when they occur in combination, such as a double die with a repunched mint mark or a steel planchet error combined with high-grade preservation, the value can reach levels almost unimaginable for something as simple as a penny. And what makes this story so compelling for collectors and casual viewers alike is the possibility that one of these rare coins could still be out there, sitting unnoticed in a jar of change, in an inherited coin collection, or hidden in an old roll of wheat pennies bought from a garage sale. The idea that an $8 million treasure might be sitting right under your nose keeps the thrill of the hunt alive. So let's imagine the possibilities. A coin struck slightly off-center but still perfectly preserved, showing dramatic doubling in the motto "In God We Trust," with a strong repunched mint mark. And struck on an experimental planchet left over from the steel cent era. Such a combination would be beyond rare, essentially unique, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness is everything, because collectors want what no one else can have, and they are willing to pay fortunes for it, which is why we see prices climb so high. But beyond the technical minting errors, the 1945 penny also carries historical weight, being tied to the end of the Second World War, a time when Americans were eager for peace and prosperity. And owning a coin from that year connects collectors to a piece of history, giving the coin not only numismatic but also emotional and cultural value. This combination of rarity, condition, error, and historical significance is what pushes the 1945 wheat penny into the realm of multimillion-dollar treasures. Now let's explore more possibilities, because some collectors speculate that undiscovered varieties exist. Like 1945 pennies struck with proof-like qualities or experimental alloys as the mint-tested post-war metals. If such a coin were to surface, it would easily command millions, and rumors persist of undiscovered hoards or forgotten bags of era coins tucked away in mint storage, which could someday yield another $8 million penny. The excitement around these possibilities fuels both serious collectors and casual enthusiasts, making the 1945 penny a legend, and this legend only grows with each auction, each news story of another rare coin being discovered, each tale of someone pulling a fortune from an ordinary-looking jar of pennies. And when you think about it, the allure lies in the randomness of it all, the fact that a small minting mistake decades ago could today mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth more than a mansion. This unpredictability is what keeps the hobby alive, keeps people searching, keeps channels like this buzzing with news stories and discoveries. And so when we highlight the 1945 wheat penny and its staggering $8 million price tag, we are not just talking about a coin, but about a dream that one small object, overlooked by millions, could transform someone's life overnight. And while the odds are tiny, they are not zero. Every great discovery starts with someone looking, someone checking that old penny closely enough to notice the doubled lettering or the unusual metal color, someone sending it in for grading and realizing they've struck gold. So if you are watching this, remember to check your coins carefully, because history shows us that mistakes do slip through, treasures do survive, and collectors are always waiting with open wallets for the chance to own them. And as long as that remains true, the legend of the 1945 wheat penny will continue to grow, inspiring new generations of collectors and dreamers, reminding us that even the smallest things can carry unimaginable value. And with every detail we uncover, from doubled dies to steel planchets, from off-center strikes to repunched mint marks, we see just how much magic can be hidden in something as simple as a penny. And this is why we continue to tell these stories, to inspire you to look closer, to search harder, and to imagine the possibilities, because maybe, just maybe, the next $8 million penny is waiting for you to find it. Welcome back once again to this thrilling and fascinating journey into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable stories of how something as small and ordinary as a 1-cent wheat penny can actually change lives and become a fortune worth millions. Today we are going to dive deep into another legendary coin that has stunned the collecting world with its rarity, mystery, and staggering value. The 1946 wheat penny, a coin that for most people looks just like any other penny from the post-World War II era, but in reality, under the right circumstances and with the right set of errors and mistakes, it has commanded a price as high as $7 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1946 wheat cent has reached values that ordinary people cannot even imagine. And in this story we are going to explore exactly why, what makes it so valuable. What kind of errors and minting anomalies elevate it into the ranks of legendary treasures, and what possibilities exist that might just mean one of these pennies is hiding in your own pocket, coin jar, or inherited collection. So welcome to the channel where we uncover these hidden numismatic secrets and bring to light the incredible tales of coins that went from being ordinary everyday currency to multi-million-dollar artifacts. Now let us immerse ourselves in the story of the 1946 wee penny. A coin minted in massive numbers during a time of transition for America and for the United States Mint, because 1946 was the first full peacetime year after World War II. The war had ended in 1945 and America was rebuilding, industries were shifting from wartime production back to consumer goods, and the mint was working to restore normalcy in coinage after the experimental years of wartime alloys. You may remember that in 1943 pennies were made of steel because copper was needed for the war effort. And then in 1944 and 1945 pennies were struck mostly from recycled ammunition shell casings, giving them a slightly different composition and appearance. By 1946 the mint was attempting to return to more traditional copper alloys, but transitions are never perfect, and this is where the story of rare and valuable 1946 pennies begins, because in a few extraordinary cases, errors occurred, planchets of the wrong metal were used, dies were misaligned, doubling mistakes happened, and coins with remarkable anomalies slipped into circulation. Anomalies so rare that today, when they are discovered, they ignite a frenzy among collectors, leading to auctions where prices climb into the millions, with some examples reaching as high as $7 million for a single penny. Now let's break down why that happens. First, we must understand the ordinary 1946 penny, struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Tens of millions were made, and most are common today, worth only a few cents. But what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary are the errors. Let us begin with the most famous kind of error, the doubled die, in which the design of the coin is struck twice slightly offset, creating a ghost-like shadow effect on the date, lettering, or liberty. In 1946 there are known examples of dramatic doubling, with the numbers and the date clearly doubled. With "In God We Trust" showing shadow impressions, these coins are not only visually stunning but also incredibly rare, and rarity drives value. Another error to consider is the off-metal strike, because during transitional years at the mint, leftover planchets from other denominations or previous years sometimes got struck with the wrong design. For example, there are rumors and confirmed discoveries of 1946 pennies struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. Imagine finding a shiny gray 1946 penny that looks magnetic like the steel cents but carries the 1946 date. Such a coin would be an absolute one-of-a-kind treasure, and collectors would fight tooth and nail to acquire it, driving the price into the multi-million-dollar range. Another similar possibility is a penny struck on dime planchets, slightly smaller blanks intended for Roosevelt dimes, which would cause the design to be off-centered and incomplete, yet incredibly valuable. In addition, we have the repunched mint mark varieties, in which the D or S mint mark was struck more than once, leaving overlapping or shadowed impressions. These coins, when combined with high mint state preservation, can be worth tens of thousands, but if combined with other dramatic errors, they could climb into the millions, and indeed, some of the most valuable 1946 pennies are exactly such combinations. Now let us think about clipped planchets, where the blank metal disc used to strike the coin was cut incorrectly, leaving a crescent-shaped bite out of the coin. These can be dramatic and eye-catching, and if preserved in pristine condition from 1946, they are immensely collectible. Similarly, broad strikes where the coin is struck without the restraining collar can produce oversized pennies with stretched designs, also worth significant sums. But perhaps the most jaw-dropping of all are the transitional composition errors, because in 1946 the mint was still phasing out the use of recycled brass shell casings. Some coins struck on alternative alloys slipped through, including those with higher tin content or with metallic impurities that gave them unusual colors, golden tones, or even darker brown hues that were unexpected. Collectors treasure these unusual examples because they tell the story of America's industrial transition from war to peace, and a coin that embodies such history naturally commands high prices. So when we talk about a $7,001,946 penny, we are most likely referring to a perfect storm of conditions, a coin struck on the wrong planchet, possibly steel, with dramatic doubling in the date, struck in pristine mint state with blazing luster, preserved carefully over decades, and then authenticated and graded by a top grading service. Such a coin would be absolutely unique, the only one of its kind, and in numismatics uniqueness is the magic ingredient that skyrockets value, but it doesn't stop there, because the historical context adds yet another layer of desirability. Imagine owning a coin struck right after the end of World War II, a coin minted with materials and methods still tied to the war effort. A coin that connects you directly to that pivotal moment in history. Collectors value not only the error and the rarity but also the story, and the 1946 penny carries a powerful story of transition, resilience, and American history, which is why people will pay fortunes to own it. And now we must also consider the condition factor, because not all errors are created equal. An error coin heavily worn will be interesting but not nearly as valuable as the same error preserved in mint state with no signs of wear. In fact, the difference between a coin worth a few thousand and a coin worth several million can come down to the condition alone, which is why collectors prize coins graded MS67 or higher, coins that look as though they just left the mint even after nearly 80 years. Combine that with a dramatic and unique error, and suddenly you have a coin worth $7 million. The incredible part of this story is the possibility that such coins could still exist unnoticed, hidden in coin jars, sitting in inherited collections, tucked away in old rolls of wheat pennies that have not been searched for decades. This possibility fuels the excitement of collectors and casual treasure hunters, because every time you search through a roll of old wheat pennies you are chasing the dream of finding the next multimillion-dollar error, the next coin that will change your life. And the 1946 penny is one of the top candidates for such discoveries. Because the mint was producing so many coins and mistakes inevitably slipped through, let us imagine the thrill of discovering one yourself. Perhaps you noticed that your 1946 penny sticks to a magnet, suggesting it was struck on steel, or you see dramatic doubling on the date. Or maybe the coin looks unusually small or unusually thin. Each of these clues could point to a treasure, and if authenticated, your penny could be worth millions. This is why the story of the 1946 penny captivates so many people. Because it blends history, rarity, chance, and fortune into one small copper coin, a coin that most people overlook, but that a keen eye might recognize as priceless. And as we reflect on why a coin worth only 1 cent could command $7 million, we realize it is because of human desire, the desire to own something unique, the desire to hold history in your hand, the desire to discover what others have missed. These desires drive collectors to pay prices beyond imagination. And they keep the legend of the 1946 penny alive. So every time you come across one of these wheat cents, take a moment to examine it closely, because hidden in plain sight might just be a coin that could change everything. And as long as such possibilities exist, the story of the 1946 wheat penny will continue to inspire, amaze, and thrill collectors around the world, proving once again that sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest treasures.